Jozy again, back again with another video. Today, I'm going to be discussing the simple offer framework I use to add literally $50,000 in new monthly revenue with my agency. Okay, I'm going to break down the three main components that I used in the offer to make it simple and easy for me to scale. All right. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jozy. I scale my own agency in the SMMA niche. And also, right now, I'm building my consulting business to help other agencies do the same. I've worked with over 90 plus marketing agencies, helping out way over $5 million worth of revenue, just using the systems that I'm going to be speaking about on these videos and throughout all my YouTube videos. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into the main frameworks and the main thing I used, right? Now, everyone knows what an offer is. If you don't know what an offer is, it's just essentially setting an outcome to a person, essentially making kind of a proposal to a person saying, hey, this is what I can get you, or this is what I'm going to be giving you. Okay. Now, Alex Hormozi has done a whole book about this, so I'm not going to go straight too deep into it. If you want to learn more about that, just go to Alex Hormozi on YouTube. But what I'm going to be talking about specifically is how I simplified this, and I'll use it in my agency to scale that up. Okay. And the main three pillars I use is the outcomes. And in terms of leverage, I use the outcome leverage. I use the price, making sure I'm pricing accordingly. And also I use a simplicity element to it. And not a lot of people are talking about the simplicity elements. I'm going to leave that for last. Okay. Now, the first thing is outcomes. Now, a lot of people, when they start doing the offers, they tend to just say, hey, we'll run your Facebook ads for 30 days. And instead of paying $2,000, you pay $1,500 or $1,000 one time. Okay. And yes, it might seem attractive in terms of price, but it doesn't really go to the core of the outcomes of what they're actually buying. So remember, people are not buying services. They're not buying your Facebook ads. They're not buying your Google ads. They're buying the outcomes. If I'm a realtor, I want more listings, right? I want to speak to more leads. I want to have more home visits, things like that. That's what they're buying. So how I kind of introduce this into my agency is, instead of just selling, we're doing email outbound, and just selling outbound, I'm going to run emails for you. We're going to actually give you 100 appointments in 6 months. Okay. That was the offer that we ran, because we knew that's what they wanted. They wanted appointments. They wanted high quality appointments with high budget companies. So instead of me just always talking about email outbound, which is A, confusing, B, boring as hell to talk about, right? Instead of me just like giving them all or blabbing it at them, I was like, okay, cool. Let's just only focus on what they want, right? And only sell that in our sales, in our marketing, and only talk about that offer, right? And once we done that, it was it was just easy for us to sell, number one, and people just take us up on it more than anything else. So when a lot of our competitors were just sending email outbound and running email campaigns done for you, XYZ, we're saying, hey, we're actually going to be booking your appointments. We're going to be helping your agency grow, right? And that's what actually helped us intertwine that with the price. Because the one thing you realize is that the more specific, right, and the bigger the outcome is, the more you can charge for it. That's why you see a lot of people charging $10,000, $20,000 up front, because they have an outcome that is desirable. It's like, hey, if I get you this, it's going to be worth 100,000, even $1,000,000, right, to the agency. Like $10,000, $20,000 is nothing compared to what you're going to be making, right? And that is what you're selling. So I implore you to actually get rid of that mindset of like, I'm a Facebook ad agency, I'm full service agency. Because to be honest, no one really cares what type of agency you have. The only reason that people say this is like what type of agency you have is because like they've been burnt before in the past by Facebook ads agency. And now once they hear Facebook ads agency, it's more likely for them to say, hey, I've been burnt in the past by this. Like I'm less likely to trust this. Right. And that's why people start calling themselves Google ads agency, SEO agency, XYZ. But at the end of the day, no one cares essentially what mechanism you're using. They just care about the results that you're getting them, the outcomes that you're delivering. Okay. The next thing is pricing. Now, a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot by this, by pricing too low. Okay. Before, and I'll give you a quick story. Before I used to have just the paper appointment side of the agency, and we used to just like charging per appointment, let's say $200, $300, $400 per appointment. And yes, it's fine. We have to get a good upfront payment. However, what we realized, yes, some months you'll crush it for the client and we'll get paid $2,000, $3,000. But some months, like it could just be like a holiday month, right? It could just be essentially, let's say the deliverability was down for that week, right? And it would eat into our profit margins so much that it made it very hard, or it made it very like anxious for us to hire and get people in, because we don't know how much we're going to get paid. We don't know where the next thing is coming from. And it was very sporadic, right? And having this was like crazy because we actually thought, oh my days, how are we going to scale this agency if we don't know, like, we don't have predictable revenue coming into the business? It was very hard for us to make really good decisions. And then what I realized, and I looked at other people because I was in a mastermind and we're like, hey, what are these guys doing? They were doing the exact same thing as us. And some of them were even not even getting the same result as us, right? But they were making more money. And I was like, why? Why are they making more money? And the thing that was weird about them was just they were just charging higher. They were just, instead of saying $400 per appointment, they were saying $3,000 per month consistently, right? Because at the end of the day, one thing I realized is that when a campaign is not going right, that's when you work the hardest. Think about it. When the campaign is not going right, that's when you're testing the most. That's when you're checking out the deliverability. That's when you're doing as much Facebook ads as possible. You're doing as much to get the campaign up and running. But when the campaign is working, that's when you're just letting it rip. That's when you're just kind of sitting back. Let's be honest, guys. It's like if it's working, don't mess with it. It's like it's doing its thing, right? And and a lot of people, they don't get paid when they're doing the most of the work, right? And that's crazy because at that time like you spend the majority of your time in that period getting it to work. And the thing is about that is like you want to get paid every single month. Like every single month you want to get paid. The reason why is because you're going to be thinking about the account, you're going to be looking at the account, you're going to make sure everything's okay. You're going to be doing a lot to that account that the client is not even aware of, right? So why do that for free? Because we're going to die anyways. We might as well get paid for the time that we're investing into this account, okay? And once we've done that and we increase the pricing, right? We started making more money. We started essentially generating more revenue, more profit, but not a lot of things changed in the back end. However, we could invest more of that money to get better people, better softwares. And a lot of agencies mess up because they think that, oh, it's just them that's going to carry the whole agency. But in reality, you need good software. You need good people to actually come in and help the client grow. And the client isn't willing to invest what's required to help them grow, then it's just not the right fit or it's just not the right time for them to go. And that's something that takes time to understand. It takes time to just say, hey, I don't think you're ready where you are right now. I think you need to make a bit more money. And then once you're at that point, we can get you started, right? It's hard to turn them type of clients down, especially if they're so like ready and they want to like go with your agency. It's very hard to say, hey, we just can't help you at this current point, right? But once you get the client that do pay and they can actually pay the premium, not only are they going to get better results, the perceived likelihood of them staying on is better. The perceived that actually the results they're going to get is going to be better because you can have more money, you can invest in terms more, and actually the way they feel about the product, the way they feel about you, the way they respect you, all goes up, right? Because you're asking a big price. And that's where a lot of agencies mess up. They're not charging enough so that they can scale, so they can get themselves out, and so the client can actually value them as a partner instead of just a vendor, actually. Okay. And the next thing is simplicity, right? The more simple your offer is, the easier it is for you to scale, right? Like I've said this before in other podcasts or YouTube videos, is that the agencies that tend to have the most operational drag, right, tend to take longer to scale and tend to take longer to get to that revenue mark, right? And not only that, the founders tend to be more stressed. The founders tend to have less money because they're spending all that money dealing with all operational issues that they're having. But one thing that I've realized, well, because I was talking to agencies all the time, every single day, and a lot of them were at 100 or 200K, but they're taking on 5 to 10 or even 20K a month. So it was very hard for me to justify, like, you're making that much money and you can only like capture 10% of it. Like it's an e-commerce. Like the sole reason that people went into agencies is because of the profit margins versus the e-commerce. But if you're making 200K and you're taking them 10K, you're basically just a glorified e-commerce business that does things for them, if that makes sense, right? So instead of like adding loads of services or offering so much to the client, right? What we realize is to cut down and only offer the essential, right? So look at your business. What is the 80-20, the 20% of things that you do that brings 80% of the results, right? And really getting clear on that and removing anything else and just doubling down on them things, right? And this allows us not only to essentially have a clearer pitch, and literally clearly like state what we're going to offer them, clearly state the outcomes, but it allows us to be so much profitable in the back end and allows us to get ourselves out quicker. Because for example, if we hired a operational manager, they only need to learn one type of operation, right? Because we only offer one service. But if you have 2 or 3 services, they're going to have to learn ads, they're going to have to learn outbound, they're going to have to learn email to deliver for that client. So the biggest thing that I would say is that simplicity allowed us to have the attention and the breathing space to make that one thing good, right? Because you like, I think Bruce Lee said is like, and he doesn't fear a guy that's practiced 1,000 kicks one time. He fears the guy that practiced the same kick again and again and again. And that's what we want to do with the agents. We want to practice the same play, the same setup again and again and again until we just know of the back of our heart and until our clients just see results instantaneously, right? So they're the three pillars that I've added into the offer to help me scale to the 50K per month. Now, if you need help adding these offers or these pillars into your agency so you can have better outcomes, so you can sell people better, more people jump on calls, B, increase your pricing so you can price better. You don't need that many clients to hit the same amount of revenue, and also simpler. So you can actually have a simpler agency so you can scale yourself out and essentially work on the business rather in the business. Then there's a link below for you to click to book a call with me or my team. Okay. If you just like the videos and you just like more of them, just subscribe, like, share, and I'll catch you in the next videos. Take care. Bye.